events coming up in the fall, our fall 2022 Austin Comedy Film Festival and the fall 2022 Portland Comedy Film Festival. Both are happening in November, and we're going to be screening all kinds of films at both. The lineups are very different. We've got everything from comedy films to TV pilots to funny music videos. We're featuring a lot of writing as well. Some great screenplays that have been entered. We're sitting here with a screenwriter that has actually been selected for both of these festivals, which is a feat in itself, with two totally different screenplays. This is going to be a fun one. Mark David Levitt, thank you for joining me.
Oh, you're welcome. It's great to be here.
Yeah, good stuff. I appreciate you taking the time, and let's talk about these. There's Frank and the Orbital Gap. Make sure I said that one right. Yep. It's Frank and the Orbital Gap is an official selection of the Austin Comedy Film Festival. The judges enjoyed it. You finished in the top, I think for screenplays, I want to say it was like the top 24% were actually selected. So out of hundreds of screenplays, that's a feat in itself. Congrats.
Thanks.
I'd love to tell people what it's about, but I'm the guy who like ruins the story. So I'm going to let you go for the synopsis.
Well, that's a feat. It's kind of interesting. There's a guy, Frank Dower, and he's watching television one night, and he gets contacted by an alien through his television. So it's kind of unusual. And it turns out this alien, his planet is dying, and but they figured out that there's this gap from his planet to the Earth, some kind of orbital chasm or gap that he can travel to the Earth, and then gradually the aliens would migrate down and assimilate into our culture. And this guy's not like an alien believer at all. And in fact, the whole town is it's set in New York, where there was a UFO sighting. So the whole town is kind of like UFO happy, but this guy is like a skeptic and doesn't believe it. But when this alien contacts him through his television, basically the plot line is how the alien tries to convince this guy to use his front lawn as their landing strip, because the gap leads directly down to where he lives on his front lawns. This guy's got to decide whether he wants a group of aliens coming down on his front lawn.
Oh my goodness! Well, I got to admit, I'm quite the sci-fi fan, and yeah, you're a man after my own heart with these sci-fi stories. I love anything about aliens, no matter how ridiculous. And this is a funny concept. I really like this. And getting contacted through the TV is old school. I can just see him, slap it on the TV, wondering who's actually talking to him. Kind of like a Matrix getting the phone call, I guess. Like, is this real?
Exactly.
What inspired you? I mean, I love sci-fi, but what inspired you to write this one?
I mean, so do I. I basically never wrote anything before. I figured it was tough to write sci-fi, with the budgetary concerns. If you wanted to, make this into a full-length feature, you'd have to put a lot of money into it. So I never thought to do that. But then I figured, let somebody else work that out if they like the concept and want to do it. So it freed me up. Basically, what my comedies were about were like workplace or family dramas. But this way, it opens yourself up. I could literally create another world from the ground level up. So it gave me a lot more freedom, new characters, new situations. So it's really endless in what I could do with the characters I found.
All right. Well, you did a good job of laying out a. Did you say this is one of your first sci-fis that you wrote?
Yeah, this is the first full-length sci-fi that I ever wrote. Yeah.
Wow. Interesting. From a technical perspective, when you're creating the characters, and this really goes for any of your writing, but when you're creating the characters for a story like this, in your mind, are you stuck on someone who already exists? Are you already imagining someone who's going to be doing this? Or do you kind of leave it up for interpretation just in case some production company wants to run with it? Or is it real general terms? Like, what's your approach?
Yeah, I have a type. Like I hear the voice in my head. It's usually like a voice. I don't know if I have a specific person in mind. They all come from my voice, I think. But I try to sort of slant it toward a kind of person. But I don't have like a specific person in mind. It's not coming like I don't have like I don't know, Jack. I don't know, Walter Matthau, Jack Lemmon, or anybody in mind when I'm writing, you know, something. But it just comes out in my voice, and I guess, you know, how I feel these people would talk.
Okay, interesting enough. Well, let's talk about over at Portland Comedy Film Festival. You got an award-nominated screenplay, which is awesome, and I love the title.
Thanks.
You know, it's a dark comedy, best dark comedy screenplay award. Bag of Pee. All right, you got some splaining to do here. So, what is the synopsis of this one?
Well, it's a little lewd, to be honest. That the idea was, you know, consumerism. People are, you know, celebrity memorabilia is a big business. People, you know, signatures, you know, hair samples. So I thought, you know, to go to an absurd, ridiculous degree and have actually celebrity pee on sale at this store. So literally, it would be celebrities that donated a sample to this store, and they would hang it up on hooks. People would come in, you know, obviously with a really bizarre fetish for this kind of stuff, but it will come into the store and they would sell it. And you'd have celebrities occasionally come in to make a deposit, and it would present some obviously absurd and ridiculous, and hopefully amusing situation.
You know, some things, the truth is sometimes stranger than fiction, because there have been some people, I won't go into details, I don't want to market their products, but there are some people who have made YouTube channels selling some very bodily manufactured items that were probably highly inappropriate, and they made a lot of money, by the way.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm loving the concept of that one. And on this particular story, same thing with the characters, and I know you have a philosophy, but you had to have some celebrities in mind when you were thinking about these bags of pee. I mean, something.
Yeah, like there's one character who's like not a famous celebrity, but the brother of a celebrity. You know, one of the Baldwins, maybe like an off-ball one who's not famous. You know, he comes in, you know, because his you know, he still has something to give, right? Obviously, that people want, even though no one's hiring him acting wise. So he comes in, and then, you know, but they're trying to get his more famous brother to make a deposit, because that will fetch a bigger dollar amount. So that presented another, and there's a rival business that pops up, another woman who sees that there's money to be had in this industry, so she wants to get involved in it too. It goes on from there.
This is all. You got some great ideas.
Thank you.
I'd love to hear what you're working on next.
Now I'm doing something about celebrities that actually invest in a Broadway musical. So I thought that was an interesting concept. So I'll see where it goes. I'm still, you know, putting the finishing touches on it, but I thought it was a funny concept. That why are they interested in funding a Broadway musical, especially with COVID just being over, and it's, you know, they're just trying to get back in business now. But I thought that was a funny concept too.
Nice. Are either of these screenplays that we're talking about today, are either of them getting close to production? Or are you still looking to work with people? And where are you at as far as the stage?
I've only done shorts. I've never done like a full length feature. So the longest things I've ever done, half hour, most of them around half hour. So these would turn out to be like more like an hour and a half. So yeah, there's more money invested. So I'd have to get the funds and the, you know, the wherewithal to do it. But I'd like to.
Sure. Sounds good. Well, hey, it's great talking to you and picking your brain about these things. And
thank you.
I appreciate it. So, well, have a good week. Oh, yeah. Let me ask you one more thing. Is there anything we wanted to add before we go?
I just want to thank you, Michael, hosting this interview, and the Austin Film Festival, and the judges for selecting my work. I really appreciate it, and what you're doing for filmmakers all over the place.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate the kind words, and we're proud to feature your work, and we can't wait to see it. I mean, we have screenwriters that have, you know, we've seen their screenplays, and 2 years later, boom, they got films coming up. So I hope to see that in the future for you as well. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you.
All right.